Way to put the little clips in the middle of it, or no?
That's a personal choice.
I heard.
Yes.
He didn't do the move.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, but there was a censored beep. Oh, my goodness. That happened last night. Start the post-game show. Luds was mortified and then left and couldn't. Yeah.
I'm not really not mortified.
No, but you were laughing pretty hard. Anyway, we had a huge show today. No pun intended. A big show. Thomas Harley contract extension. Stars sued by the Mavs. Mavs sued back by the Stars. A new arena in Plano. All of that coming up with Luds, me, and Sean right now on DLLS. This is the DLLS Stars podcast, Wednesday, October 29th. It may feel like Halloween, but the scares are coming pretty early as we had a big news day the other day. Craig Ludwig. Over there, Sean Shapiro. I'm Owen Newkirk. Our producer, Ryan Vaughters. Before we get into all of it, we have a lot today. Quick mention about our Face-Off collection, the new DLLS merchandise, which is available now. Luds, we are down to 13 shirts left to hit our goal and counting. Our GM, Ben, said if we sold 25 this week, we would get free shirts for the show from this Face-Off collection. And then Luds, who's going to talk about it a little bit later, added on his own stipulation if you bought that shirt and showed up at our December 9th Stars Takeover event. Because we already sold out the tickets, but maybe some other people might just show up at the Hooters side of it. All that to come. So check out alldls.com. Get those shirts today. If you're a diehard, you get 20% off merch. Very much worth it. All right. Sean is here. Luds is here. I'm here. And we have a lot to get to. We're going to start. We'll get to the lawsuits, the arena news, all that entails a little bit later in the show. And then DLS Mavs host Bobby Karalla is going to join us in our fourth segment to give us the other side of that. And Sean, Bobby, and I will sort of go around the horn on that. But let's talk about the good stuff first. A contract. Thomas Harley. It was rumored from all the big NHL insiders right before the game last night. We talked about it in our pregame show. And then the Stars beat the Washington Capitals 1-0, third straight victory. And they announced it literally 1 minute in my inbox. It was 10:41. We went on for the postgame at 10:40 last night, officially announcing an 8-year extension for Thomas Harley with a AAV of $10.5 million, $84.696 million. He will be under contract. This is the wild part. So he has this year and then 8 years after this through the 2033-2034 NHL season. Long-term, Thomas Harley. Luds.
What does that take him to? 35, 34?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere in that neighborhood?
What are your initial thoughts of getting Harley locked in, no protracted public negotiations, and at a $10.5 million AAV for 8 years? Well, the CBA still allows it because next spring it goes to 7 years as a max.
I think it's a great deal for Thomas, a great deal for the Stars and their fans. And I guess I think it's going to be if Thomas continues to go on the trajectory that he's going on right now, which I'm sure is part of what this contract is about, it's probably going to look like a pretty good deal with the salary cap going up to, I don't even know, Sean, isn't it supposed to get up to 114 or 115 in 3 years, whatever that number is. But I think
a couple years, yeah.
What is that?
In a couple years, yeah, that's kind of
yeah. So and I also think it's a good thing for the group of the nucleus. Let me put it that way.
A lot of locked in.
I'm talking like Wyatt and hopefully Robo and Jake and Rantanen. That group right there that all seem to be very, very tight, knowing that Sometimes you'll say it's Jamie Benn's team or it's going to be Mikko Rantanen's team, but I believe that they're going to be, this is their team. This is going to be the 4, 5, 6. Miro's in there. I don't want to forget any of these guys, but that nucleus, and they're going to, as a group, will hold what's ever on the outside of that group. They're going to hold them accountable to win championship, or at least get there.
Sean, initial reactions to the official word of Harley signing an 8-year extension.
Good work by the Stars to get it done now, because I don't think from a market value and agent perspective and kind of how things all play out, I don't think he's signing for less than 11 million after February. I think there's that's personal belief for me that I think Thomas Harley is going to be part of Team Canada at the Olympics. I think his profile is going to continue to go up. I think he's going to keep playing well. I think so I think it's good work by the Stars getting this done when they did, hopping on it right away. There's for Harley, I mean, 10.58 million per year for 8 years. That's pretty good stability. And I think the other thing it does, and Luds, I'd be curious of your thought from a player perspective. And you talked about that group there. Puts a lot of pressure on the other big contract we're talking about, not from the necessarily are they market comp to comp, but it's a lot of guys on this team that have been pretty happy to take sub-market value to be part of the Dallas Stars. Mikko Rantanen's deal is looking great. Miro, with what Wyatt Johnston's making, there's a lot of guys on this team that have taken less money to be part of the Stars than they would have on the true market world. And so it is now it is part of the trend that will be a fascinating discussion for the Stars in that Jason Robertson deal next summer, whenever it gets signed or what happens with it, because the Stars are going to have two points of conversation about it. One, well, hey, this is what we've been doing as a group. So Jason, this is what everyone's doing to stay here. We want you part of this effort. And the other part that the Stars then have to think about in the long run, and I'm not saying you throw anything away right now, you just kind of, you let and see how this season plays out. But are you a team that, if this is what the culture of your team has been a group to kind of take the good deal, to take the money to play together, if Jason says, I need to be $15 million player, does he fit with what you're trying to do as a group? It's an interesting kind of domino one for domino two. And I think we should talk more about that. But first, for Harley, I believe he's a bona fide number one defender in the NHL. I think if he's on 20 teams in the league, he's the top defender on the team. The Stars just happen to be lucky that they also have Miro Heiskanen on the roster. So,
and to go right to Luds again,
yeah,
we've talked about this before he signed because we were talking about predicting this for next year. I didn't necessarily think, because he was an RFA after this season, that there was any urgency for them to do it too early. But I do think, to Sean's point, getting it while the CBA still allows for 8 years to keep the AAV under 11 before the Winter Olympics, if he makes Team Canada, that's still an if, but we all think it's trending in that way. And like I keep repeating Elliot Friedman's line, it's bet on your talent, because if you wait, it's only going to be more expensive. Get them in, lock them in early. And we've made the comparison with Evan Bouchard repeatedly with the Oilers. And now that you see Harley's deal compared to Bouchard's, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I get it, but there's one area when they do the comparison, and then, Ryan, do you have that little graphic with Bouchard and Harley up there? And there's one.
By the way, Bouchard just signed a 4-year deal at $10.5 a year before this season, which has just kicked in.
So you see that where it says even offense versus defense, and you see that little pink line there where it says 29%, 50,
yeah,
and then down to 20. Okay, go back to Harley's right now, because they talk about these being comps. Listen, Thomas Harley does not play defense like Evan Bouchard. I'm sorry, because Evan Bouchard plays more like Carlson.
You're saying Thomas is a much better defender.
Thomas is much better a defender than Evan Bouchard is, because I think he cares about it. When I watch Bouchard play, at times I don't think he cares that much about it. So anyway, I just wanted to show that one thing, because when they say, well, it should be just like Bouchard's because they're just so identical, I'm like, Bouchard likes to play Erik Karlsson kind of hockey, and he's got, two guys there he likes to get the puck to, and he deserves the money because of the points he gets, right? And he's got a bomb for a shot. Harley's got a bomb for a shot. He gets the puck to the, whether it's Robo, whoever it is, but he's way better defensively, because I think Thomas cares.
If they were comparable, Evan Bouchard would have been the one picked for Team Canada, not Thomas Harley.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the whole spot. Like, you're telling me that if they were truly 1-to-1, you're not going to take Connor McDavid's teammate.
So,
in that
Sean,
spot? Yeah,
does that mean that Bouchard's getting a sweetheart deal, or Thomas could have had more?
Harley, I believe Harley could have made more. That's I truly believe there's money on the table that Harley could have potentially gotten by not signing now, and kind of taking things, letting the season play out. I think there's money. I think he could have been closer to 11.5 million easily if he just went off pure market rate in his play. So
And I should go back on this a little bit. I don't want to throw Bouchard under the bus because he does exactly what those couple guys in Edmonton need. And he is a threat on the power play.
Very dangerous offensive player. Very, very good.
He's a threat. And he can get those two guys.
He's also 2 years older than Harley, too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he can get the puck to those two guys. And that's what matters. I mean, that's how they believe that they're going to get to where they want to go. But I will argue that I don't know if that's helped in the playoffs a couple times as far as the defensive zone. Anyway, but I agree. I mean, I think Harley. The other thing is about when you want to talk about Robo wants that money. He better score 40+ goals.
Yes, probably.
I mean, is the pressure not on Robo?
I mean, the way that he started this season, I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do to, one, make Team USA for the Olympics, which is an important step for him in his career development, not just for a contract, but that will help. And two, to end at the end of year being one of the go-to offensive players.
Does it help if he
team.
plays for the Olympics and gets 25 goals this year? Does it help his contract? I mean,
you're saying if he doesn't have a great year, well, if he does, I think if he only ends up with 25 goals, he maybe doesn't make
25, 30. Well, I mean, he could have 25 by Olympic
and then
time.
tail off at the. I just don't see him being like that.
Well, I'm just curious because if I'm sitting upstairs, part of my argument would be we're not paying you to score goals at the Olympics. We want you to score goals.
Right. Well,
here.
I mean, if Thomas Harley makes the Olympic roster for Team Canada and then craters afterwards, we're still going to be upset about it. But it doesn't take away the accomplishment of rising your stock to the level.
But Thomas Harley doesn't need to score 40 goals, so he doesn't even have to score 20.
Right.
You know, he can do a lot of other things. I think Robo's been great this year.
I think he's been really good.
I think he's got a different work ethic. I think.
And don't you think if he plays like this all year, stays healthy, it'll all fall into place for him?
I think so. But I just think I just wonder from a negotiating thing if he doesn't get to that. Whatever that threshold is for goals. I don't know what it is. If it's 40, 45 in order.
What if he scores 35?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be pretty happy with 35 goals.
What do 35 goal scorers get in the NHL? They're not getting 15 million.
No, probably in the 8 to 9 range, right? Yeah.
Right.
So,
and I'm just wondering, is that kind of how negotiations go?
All right, I have two things. First, I want to talk about the Olympic accelerator or modifier is more so an agent market inflator. It's not the stars being like, oh, he scored this goals.
Right.
It's I'm in the
other
best.
side.
I'm playing against these other guys. This thing. Other thing I want to go down real quick. A comment. Ryan flashed a comment on the screen of Thomas Harley being a turnover machine. Okay. That comment flashed on the screen there, right, Ryan? Do you know where on the Dallas Stars defense Thomas Harley ranks in turnovers so far this season? Amongst the Stars defensemen, how many turnovers Thomas Harley has compared to the rest of the Stars defensemen?
I mean, the typical argument
he has not been good.
I would say that because usually, Sean, I don't know the answer, but usually the ones that have the puck the most, the ones that are making the most plays, also have the most giveaways because
which is going to mean it's Miro and Thomas,
right?
But Thomas Harley so far this season, according to Hockey Reference, has 12 turnovers. Okay, 12. Okay, Miro Heiskanen has 14. Esa Lindell has 13. Liam Bichel has 13. Ilya Lyubushkin has 12. Alexander Petrovic has 10. And so let me just be.
So he's right in the middle of everybody else.
Yeah. So I always hate this kind of thing where people will be like, "Oh my God, he's a turnover machine." With the amount of times Thomas has the puck on his stick, I would expect him to have 20 turnovers. I would expect him to be amongst the league leaders in turnovers because that's how often you have the puck, right? And so when I see this popular narrative or not popular narrative, when I see this counter narrative that Thomas Harley is a turnover machine, I think it gets tied into too often of, well, I see him on the power play. I see him with the puck. I see him have it all the time. When at the same time, so far this season, Miro has more turnovers than him. You have Liam Bichel with way less puck touches, has more turnovers than him. no one is yelling about Liam Bishop being, now obviously contracts change things. So I saw that comment, and I saw a bunch of that I saw some of the detractors on social media, to the signing. And my point thing is, is he going to turn the puck over? Yes. But you know what? Defensemen who have the puck a lot turn the puck over. During the break, I'll look up to see who led the league in turnovers last year, and I would bet it's probably Adam Fox or Cale Makar. I'll take a look during the break.
All right, we'll carry this over. We are going to get to the lawsuits as well, but we have a couple things to hit before we do that here on the DLS Stars podcast. First, we're going to talk about Monarch. You know, some people, like this guy, are really dialed into their investments, their portfolios, but not everybody.
That's me.
Some people just don't necessarily have awareness, and they might be leaving money on the table. Maybe they don't feel organized. Maybe you just feel like you are not spending money the way you should. And that's where Monarch comes in, because Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting, link all your accounts and minutes, and get clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending, and real control over your money. And we promise you'll never need to touch a spreadsheet again. Don't leave money on the table. When you're making good money, it's easy to get complacent. You don't need to track every dollar, but ignoring your finances can entirely cost you. So, what do you do with Monarch? Don't let the financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code DLLS. We have a new partner here at DLS, and we're thrilled to welcome PNC Bank. Long-term growth takes patience and commitment, something banking and hockey hair have in common. PNC Bank recognizes the value of long-term growth, too. It's time to see how good long-term growth looks on you. Pick up your free Dallas Stars hockey hair hat pregame at PNC Plaza, compliments of PNC Bank, on November 4th and 6th at PNC's pop-up Main Street branch. No purchase necessary, one per person. While supplies last. Copyright 2025, the PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated. PNC Bank, an official partner of the Dallas Stars. Now, as we say that, it's time now for the PNC Bank Mullet Report. Today, we highlight our very own. For the first ever Mullet Report here on the DLS Stars podcast, it's Craig Ludwig. Luds, do you have any idea what year that was from?
I'm going to say about 90, 91.
So you're with the Minnesota North Stars at this point?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that could be. Is that a Stars jersey? Is that a Stars shirt?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Well, then maybe that was in right when we first got here. That could have been one of them pictures right when we first got here.
When we first got to Dallas.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Did you always have the long flow in the back?
You can take it down now, Ryan. You can take that down. What?
Did you always have the long flow in the back, or was that something?
Well, not when I was a kid. My mom used the bowl routine.
Yeah. When did you start letting it grow?
Probably when I went to school. When I got out of my parents' house.
As soon as he had his own thing, he did the opposite of Sean, which is cut it short, high and tight on
but see, Sean's okay because he knows his is going to come back.
It is.
I'm at the point you don't know if it's coming back.
Now you
anymore.
just have to stick with it, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you can pick up your free Dallas Stars hockey hair hat pregame at PNC Plaza, right out in front of American Airlines Center. Compliments of PNC Bank, November 4th and 6th at PNC's pop-up Main Street branch. And come say hi to us on the 6th, because we'll be out there hanging out before the game on the 6th of November. That is your Mullet Report, brought to you by PNC Bank. Okay, I want to show you a couple things. Sean, did you get your follow-up on the league statistics for turnovers?
I'm going to be disappointed if the two guys that I mentioned in the last thing aren't in the top 5.
Bouchard or Carlson?
I'm going to be disappointed, but I don't know.
Oh, Sean's on mute.
Sean, you got to unmute.
I muted myself so I could type and not make lots of noises while
which is appreciated.
So last year, Mackenzie Weegar actually led the league in turnovers with 159 last year.
And he has the puck a lot.
Yeah.
Carlson was second with 140. Evan Bouchard was third.
Okay.
And we're talking about Evan Bouchard, Travis Sanheim, Mikhail Sergachev. Those are the top 5 last year for turnovers.
All guys that have the puck a lot for their teams, right? Which is expected.
And for point of reference, Thomas Harley had the 12th most in the NHL last year, which was still less than Victor Hedman, similar amount to David Pasternak, and similar amount to Cale Makar. So if you're going to talk about Thomas Harley, turnover machine and everything like that, you're the same people who you're the same person who dislike anytime the defenseman is trying anything offensively. So like that's kind of that's my that's my talking point. For
Well,
that.
and
So,
you know, Sean, like when you're guys like Miro Haskin and Thomas Harley on this team, and you play 25 minutes a game, and the other team knows that you're a key to just jump starting offense, there's a bullseye on you. And again,
honestly, it was the same thing when John Klingberg was the quarterback for the Stars.
And I actually
he was going to have a lot of giveaways because he had the puck a lot.
But he tried to keep it a little bit more, and he couldn't skate like Miro can.
No.
But I think that I really think Thomas moves the puck well because he does try to make the first pass. Where Miro's a little bit different because he skates
because of that skating.
He skates, you know,
and Thomas is a great skater too, but it's just in a different way.
Yeah, but he gets it. He sees a lane to somebody. He gets it there before Miro would, just because Miro can do what he can do.
All right, I have a couple of coach and player reactions from last night that I wanted to share with you guys and everybody watching or listening today. When we start with Harley postgame, he is typically of few words, so these aren't long, but listen to his response of signing the contract in his press availability.
Great. It's a relief to just get it done and be able to play the rest of this year out. And to know I'm here for the next 9 years is fantastic. Very happy. Just the culture that's been built here. It's one of, respect and kindness and winning. So the group we have here is great, and it's going to continue to be great. So I'm excited to be here.
Okay, other than the video glitching,
he's got the jitters.
The audio sounded there. But listen, there's a party set in there, and then Sam asked him a question toward the end. I didn't want to do it twice, but he literally talked about the culture that was developed here, that is developed here. He said, this is a nice place to play. He likes the players. And then we go back to what you mentioned earlier, Luds, about the players locked in. On the defensive side, Miro's in through the 28-29 season, so 3 more years after this year. Essa is locked in for 4 more years, or through the 2030 season, right? So yes, 4 more years after this year. Now Harley for 8 more years after this year. And then up front, you've got Mikko for 8 years, starting this year, so 7 more. Rope through 2031, Wyatt through 2030, Duchesne 3 more years after this year. Robo's the next one to be signed. Obviously, guys like Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn are on the back half of their careers, so things are maybe a little bit shorter. But again, Mikko, Rope, Wyatt, Heiskanen, Lindell, Harley, and don't forget Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, there's your
that's
nucleus.
Your 7 core.
That's your nucleus.
Robo
right
would
there.
make 8.
There's their nucleus. I mean, Jim Nill and Jenks and all those guys upstairs understand who they are, and they understand that where this team is and where it can be. And I believe that they're happy they're teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And now you do that and you build around that.
All right, now let's play his more widespread answer to what are you going to do with all these newfound riches?
I don't really know. I assume I'll pay for some dinners on the road at some point. But for now, it's just kind of any other night, go home, eat a DiGiorno pizza and go to sleep. Nothing crazy.
I don't know if that was intentional or if that's just him, because he has a very quick wit. His humor is great, very dry. But it got the attention of everybody because it was a funny line, and the Twitter account for DiGiorno has noticed it and retweeted it, and they love it too. So
maybe an endorsement deal now too to put on top of that. Okay.
Can I also air one grievance as well?
Please.
From my understanding, I didn't hear a follow-up of what type of DiGiorno pizza he's going to make. That is the one of.
You want to know what toppings?
I mean, it's just like one of the basic journalism school rules is you get the name of the dog, you learn the pizza toppings. So like, I want to know, like, did he go back home and is he making a supreme? Is it a rising crust? Is it a thin crust? I want to know.
Valid questions.
I don't know, but it sounds like we're helping him get his endorsement deal.
I think
right
so.
now.
So we didn't find out officially until the Stars released it at the beginning of our post-game show, but the players found out first, as we all did in rumors pregame, and then Tyler Seguin explains a little bit more about what went on before the game started last night against the Capitals.
It was one of the coolest signings I've seen because we had heard rumblings, but before the game, it was on NHL on the TV, and we were all over there. So it was a very loud pregame and pretty happy. You know, he definitely got a little red, but you know, he's a great player, and you know, proud of him. So that's great.
Yeah, the good news is, at the University of North Dakota, I took the lip reading courses.
Oh, good. So you got all that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
get any of it.
I think that was Sam's hand holding the mic for Abby last night. So maybe we need to get him a little closer.
Maybe get a stool he could get up higher.
Get him a boomstick so he can hold it closer to it. I mean, basically was the team started to find out because it was swirling over, you know, the NHL network and whatever other things they have on the TVs in the locker room complex at American Airlines Center. And then I think there was a pretty loud ovation in their dressing room pregame. And as a close-knit team will do.
I
They
do
go-
wonder.
They go out and put up one goal and get a
And they
shutout.
put up one goal.
I do wonder. So you talk about pregame. So I will always remember this, and the Stars social media team has since wised up and stopped taking pictures of that. But the first game after Tyler signed his big deal with the $9.85 million per season AAV, the first game after that, he put $9,850 money on the board on the whiteboard. Luds can explain the money on the board a little bit better since he's been probably part of that. So I want to know.
And the party
other
director,
question I
too.
want to know is, was there 10 grand on the board last night from Thomas Harley on the whiteboard to go into the kitty last night for that? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, generally you do that, you know, when you go and you play against your former team. Now Harley hasn't done that.
That's
so
right.
But I will, Sean, we do know
Or
that
big milestone
they're
games.
they're going to Florida here. And
Yeah.
so there is a place called Burns Steak. There's a couple little nice restaurants in between Tampa
Where they
and,
can make a dent in that
where
salary.
I would think that he will maybe buying that first team meal, although I think they play every other day, don't they?
They play,
play
So
the
there's
day in between.
It's Thursday, Saturday this week.
So
Yep.
I would suggest then that the captains don't let them do it this one. Do it when you have, which I don't even know when they have a day
An
off in
extra-
between games anymore.
Yeah.
Where you can have a little fun. You know what I mean?
And
Pencil
recover
something in.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So here's Glenn Gullitson, who, again, admittedly doesn't have a lot of history with Thomas Harley as his coach, but still he was asked about Harley signing last night.
Just a class guy. I'm really happy for him. You know, I'm happy any of these young guys that, you know, they get a good deal, but he deserves it. He's a top defenseman. It allows him to settle in, and it's just good. It's good for him. It's good for us. It's good for us moving forward this year, and then obviously for the length of the deal.
And of course, nobody knows if this was affecting his play at all because it was in his mind.
Exactly where I was going to go with that.
But what do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think this helps a guy
I
like
think
Thomas?
it's a distraction. I
Yeah.
mean, because I'm sure, Sean, I don't know how it works. I mean, how often is he getting updates from his agent and things like that? Is he updating them? Are they smart enough to know, let's just let him play and I'll let him know when the final thing's done? But regardless, it's going to be in the back of his mind. I mean, he knows numbers are floating around a ballpark, things like that. And then I would also say the same thing for Robo. You know, I mean, if, you know, you want Robo to get going, I would think that he would want to get this put behind him if he could, and if it's, you know, in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. Because I just think that anything, especially with your best players, anything that's taking your focus away, whether it be this much or that much,
Mhm.
I think you'd like to get rid of it so that you can continue to move forward and get your game where you want it to be as a team.
All right, to finalize this segment, if you think Thomas Harley is a man of few words, you haven't met Essa Lindell.
About 5 seconds ago, the Dallas Stars just announced a contract extension for Thomas Harley. So, what do you think about that? And
You guys should get him here. Just happy for Tom. That's super earned.
By the way, Essa also in that scrum said that he very much enjoyed the game last night, whereas Tyler said that wasn't fun for the players or the fans because of 1-0. But look, one thing I noticed, we always call him Thomas. That's his official name in the media notes, and it's how he's always been introduced. But all the players refer to him as Tom. It's a little bit more of a familiar, but either way.
Or Harley Thomas, depending.
Or, well, that's the draft story. I think they're very excited for their guy. This seems like a team that's excited for a guy to get his own. It's not, there's no individual resentment of, oh, you got more than I got or this or that. I think there's a real camaraderie with this group, which is a very good sign to see.
It is. And again, from the outside looking in and watch how these guys interact, and through things like that, it does remind me of some of the teams I've been on, where you can kind of get a sense from the outside that they're a good group together, and you're never going to get 23 guys on the same page all the time. But I believe that the nucleus or the core of this team is tight, and they're good enough pulling a couple of those other ones that may not be, but pull them close enough to be. I think they got a good group here.
Quick follow-up note. Sean and Luds, I don't know if either of you want to say much because we got to get to the ad break, but Logan Cooley signed an 8-year, $80 million contract with the Utah Mammoth after Harley. I think it was either overnight or this morning we found the news. $10 million AAV. Now, Cooley's only 21, but he is the budding offensive superstar of that team. So good on them for locking him in. And look, Harley's contract is going to look very good very soon, I think.
And that Cooley contract might look really good too, the way it's going now.
The Cooley one,
Yeah. So bet on your talent, pay them early, lock them in. I think that's the way to go. You keep your core, and the expansion is probably going to happen in a couple of years or so. We don't know when exactly. The NHL has been very quiet about it, but everybody around swirling. This cap is going to continue to rise. Unless there's a global event, world politics and stuff that changes things, this should start to, like we had with the pandemic. I think we're going to see a salary cap continue to expand rapidly. Yeah. So do it now while I think it's only a good bit of business.
How much time we got?
We should probably go.
Okay.
All right. Up next, let's talk about business and lawsuits and the Stars and the Mavericks here on DLLS.
But first, let's talk about the business of DLS and talk about some ads. Fall Fest at Globe Life Field. Do you feel it? The leaves are changing, the temperatures are dropping, the pumpkin spice lattes are brewing. Fall is officially upon us, and there's no better place to celebrate than at Globe Life Field for the annual Fall Fest on November 2nd. The fan-favorite event is back for a second straight year with plenty of fall-themed activities to enjoy, including face painting, trick-or-treat stations, you can run the bases, carnival games, and much more, all directly on the field. The event runs from 12 to 4 p.m., and there will be a costume parade every hour. So be sure to wear your best Halloween costume. As the father of a 7-year-old and soon-to-be 5-year-old, like every other one else in America, we'll see way too many K-pop Demon Hunter costumes this year, as that is what all the kids now wear. So don't miss out on the fall event of the year at home of the Texas Rangers. Tickets are on sale now at globelifefield.com/fall festival. That's globelifefield.com/fall festival.
Thank you, Sean. Let's talk about game time. We always talk about game time with sports, which is a huge deal. In fact, you can go on the Game Time website, gametime.co, or go onto their app right now, and you can find great deals on Dallas Stars tickets. In fact, I'm looking at some now for their home game November 4th against the Edmonton Oilers. But you can also use them for game time for comedy shows, theater, concerts. In fact, Sean, you know all about my trip to Boston in Labor Day weekend. It was great.
I do.
What you didn't know is that I just recently got a Christmas present for somebody in my family, comedy tickets at the Majestic Theater sometime after the new year, and it was a piece of cake through Game Time. I opened up the app. I saw a top 1% value ticket right at the beginning. I bought it. Boom, they're done. Easy peasy. So Game Time is exactly what you want to do if you want tickets for any of the activities I talked about. And of course, you can take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets or any of the other ones with Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, guys, now we get into the other side of the big news of the last 24 to 48 hours. This one is not as exciting, happy, rosy-cheeked as Thomas Harley's contract extension. There are 3 pillars of this, all interconnected. Yesterday, in the Dallas Morning News, great piece by Brad Townsend and Lia Assimakopoulos, our colleague who covers the Stars, and Brad who covers the Mavericks. And then there was another corresponding piece, which we'll get to, and then a follow-up overnight and this morning. The Dallas Mavericks ownership, in conjunction with the city of Dallas, has placed a lawsuit in Texas business court against the Dallas Stars ownership. And that's part 1. We'll get into that. Part 2 is the Stars yesterday, a report from the Dallas Morning News that the Stars are considering a $1 billion arena in Plano at the Shops at Willow Bend Mall site. And then part 3 is, in response, the Dallas Stars have filed a countersuit against the Mavericks late last night to, quote, prevent the Mavericks' attempted hostile takeover. Okay, that's a lot. We're going to do this segment with Luds and Sean, and then
Not Luds. You and Sean are doing this segment.
Bobby Karalla from the Mavs DLS Mavs show is going to join us to give us the Mavs perspective as well on this, because this is going to be an ongoing story. And Sean, let's start with the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
This relationship has never been perfect, the Stars and the Mavs, for cohabitants of the American Airlines Center and business partners as operations. But there always was a general sense of we're neighbors, we have to get along and make this work for the betterment of both franchises. That seems to have changed with the ownership change of the Mavericks when the Sands Corporation, run by the Adelsons and Dumont family, bought the franchise from Mark Cuban, and now it seems to have taken a very different tenor between the Mavs and the Stars here in Dallas.
Yeah, and I think it's important to establish when it comes to the Cuban era of running the Mavericks and everything like that. And he's still and our Mavs show can obviously talk way more about that, and we all saw with that blockbuster trade last year that no one will ever really forget. But there was there was at least an understanding and they didn't necessarily like each other, right? It's not that they were like singing Kumbaya together, but they at least had a healthy respect for each other in the building, right? I think both of them wanted to be the number one tenant in the building, so there was always a little bit of that kind of hidden animosity between ownership groups of prime dates versus that and everything. But there was at least hey, we need to work together on this. And since the ownership change, the vibe towards the Stars from the Mavericks, from their roommate in the building, has been one of, we're here to buy. And correct me if I'm wrong, and Bobby can correct me wrong if I'm on the next statement, but it's definitely the group that bought the Mavericks. There's way more of this is not we bought this to build the best basketball team. Like, they want to win it. They want to win, right? They'll tell you that. That's what they want to win. And I'm not saying that they don't want to winning basketball, but they brought the Mavericks as more of this is a brand. This is a vessel to some sweet, sweet gambling money when it gets legalized in the state of Texas. And we see all of those opportunities. If the Stars are going to get in our way for some of this, which sound based off reporting that Lia and others did, and that is really well done, this is definitely that seems to be the belief. So it gets us back to this point, Owen, where kind of the craziest part to me is one of the biggest crux parts is the Mavs are suing the Stars under, it's from a I want to say this correctly. I believe it is from a charter agreement or whatever it is, a franchise agreement.
Franchise agreement, yes.
Yeah, where the Stars need to have their headquarters within Dallas city limits. Now,
corporate and executive headquarters.
Corporate headquarters. Corporate headquarters is the rule. Now, Luds, to bring Luds into the conversation real quick, before the Stars were in Frisco, where were their headquarters before Frisco? Do you remember?
Do you remember where they were? Where do you know where the business offices were when you were around the time you retired?
They were in our ranch. They were in I retired. Were they still at Valley Ranch?
Because they were in Frisco. They moved to Frisco
upstairs?
in 2003.
No, they were still at Valley Ranch. They were upstairs there.
What city is Valley Ranch in? Does anyone know? Anyone know for the group?
Las Colinas.
I believe it's
no. I think it's Capel.
Either way, is that city?
It's
Dallas?
not Dallas.
No.
That's the point. Yeah, no.
My point here is,
you weren't quizzing me. You were just trying to make a point. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to make my point here. I'm not quizzing Luds. My point is that the Stars. There was an agreement. There's this agreement that is in legal writing, and that's in the city of Dallas has sided with the Mavericks as they went into this. Oh my God, the Stars! You're supposed to have your corporate offices in Dallas, and you haven't done this. And the simple question, not the legal question, is this hasn't been a big deal for the Stars. Have been here since '93. And we haven't had a big deal about the corporate office not being in the city of Dallas. And so now it is when all of a sudden this arena stuff and everything like that when all this arena stuff and everything comes into play, all of a sudden now we're going to go try to find the one rule. Like it's almost one of those spots of like, this is, and I talked to, once again, because I want to preface everything with, I have not spoken to the Stars or the Mavericks on this. Every single person with both organizations is being very stingy right now of, hey, it's a lawsuit, we can't talk, lawyers can't speak. So I did go, like, I spoke to some other lawyers over the past couple days about this, and one of them I spoke to a lawyer who does corporate law, and they said one of the things that probably happened was, they said if they were to reverse engineer it, and be clear, I want to be clear, this is just what another lawyer told me might have happened, not actually happened, not for sure. I'm just covering my own butt on legalese here.
It's
okay,
speculation at best.
yeah. But there's probably a world where when the Adelsons bought the team, they went and had their lawyers say, okay, I need you to go find everything you can for me on the Stars. Find everything you have on them so I have that in my file for when I need it. And when they went through and they found this charter and this agreement and they saw that line, they're like, okay, here's this line. We can use this when we need it. And a year ago, they used it to seize half of the Stars' half of the arena operations. And now yesterday they used it to file a lawsuit. And it's a very petty way of going about it. And it's honestly,
it feels like it's a technicality, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. Okay, Luds,
It's actually in Irving. I Googled it. I had to look up our address over there, and it says.
Well,
Irving.
let me ask you this.
That was before I get a bing bong that says I don't know where the hell
we covered a story that was in the morning news. I think it was early September, about the Stars looking at 4 municipalities: Arlington, Frisco, McKinney, or maybe even more. Plano was the front runner, they said, even the Colony. At that point, I personally, with no inside knowledge, just from having covered this team for over a decade and lived here almost 12 years now, I had a feeling at that time, my gut reaction was, this is just business leverage. We're doing our due diligence. But the Stars had maintained, even when Mark Cuban was talking about selling or moving to a new building and getting his own entertainment complex, maybe even just south of 35. His conversations always felt like the Stars were saying, we want to stay. We want to be at the AAC. So when those things came out a month ago, my gut reaction was leverage. This is just them trying to push back to try to get a better deal with the city of Dallas, because they know that the Mavs are trying to leave. So we're just trying to get the best thing to renovate and make the AAC a great building for another 20 or 30 years. But then yesterday afternoon, the morning news reports that they are considering a new $1 billion arena plan in the area by the shops at Willow Bend in Plano, which is right off the Dallas North Tollway, in the mall site, which apparently is not booming. So there's potential for space with growth around it. As a guy who played at Reunion Arena, I watched them after retirement move into American Airlines Center. They've always been, you guys were in Minnesota, for goodness sakes, and moved here. But since 93, you've watched them have a downtown Dallas. And I'm sure this is almost unrecognizable to what it looked like in 93 when you first got here, as far as downtown, let alone Frisco and all the suburbs. What is your reaction to the thought that this out now sort of seems like this may be more than just leverage?
Yeah, again, I think we're hockey players, and that's all we really worry about. When you go from Reunion and then looking at where the Star Center, it's like walking across the street. So this seems a little bit different movement. And I'd be curious, like, the demographics of the fans. Like, where are the fans? Are they spread out, or are they predominantly in Frisco? Are they downtown people? How far do they have to travel? And I wonder how the fans actually feel about moving to Plano.
I think you're going to get equal parts.
So
some would say even. Great, like people that live in the McKinney, Frisco, Colony, north of that Salina, up 75 Melissa that way, which is continuing to grow. They would be happy with that because it's closer. But
would people
south
be bent out of shape about driving that far?
Again,
probably not going to matter.
I think the people up north of Dallas might say, "Oh, that's interesting." But the people south and west and east that are used to coming into the downtown area, that would be harder for them. So you're going to get some that are happy, Sean, and some that are not happy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing you have to realize is people don't forget forget how big Dallas is, right? The Metroplex is massive, right?
Mhm.
So for today, if you combined the populations of Plano, Frisco, and McKinney, I just picked those three, right? Those three suburbs, you're going to get a combined population of 750,000 people.
Yep.
That is a larger population than the city of Denver. Okay, so you have for those three cities alone,
Which
outside
has
of
its
Dallas,
own NHL franchise. The
are
Colorado
large enough
Avalanche.
to be are large enough to be the 18th. If they were combined into one city, they would be the 18th largest city in the United States population-wise. So if you're talking about moving out to the suburbs and everything like that, it's not like going to the suburbs where Ottawa is. Like, people always think about suburbs and get lost in what happened with Ottawa. That's a bit different with DFW, with how the place is. You're going to moving out to that area. There's probably a large percentage of people who may never have been. You're going to lose some season ticket holders, right? Let's be clear. There's some people who,
And you might
were
gain
season
some
ticket
too,
holders,
right?
but
Sure.
you're also going to gain some. All of a sudden, that family that's in Frisco or McKinney that has kids that play hockey, we're like, well, I'm not going to make the hour and 15-minute drive downtown with the traffic on a Tuesday night. But now all of a sudden, it's the movement of it and the fan base of it. To me, it doesn't really change much. I think they're still going to have this very similar attendance. They're going to have similar. It's not going to change their corporate or sponsorship stuff. If anything, by being in Plano, there's so many corporate headquarters now in Plano and Frisco, where there's some of those places that they're even a little bit closer to it. So, really,
Yep.
what it is the city of Dallas, and I think this is the big thing that I will take away from this, is the city of Dallas made a decision and they sided with the Mavericks by co-signing the initial suit against the Stars. The Mavericks so the city of Dallas sided with the Mavericks.
Okay. I want to get into that with Bobby
Yeah.
on
Okay,
the
yeah.
other side of the ad break. So hold that thought real quick. We're going to say goodbye to Luds after this read, and then we'll bring on Bobby, because this is something Sean brought up that I think is really getting to the root of the matter here on DLLS.
Saying goodbye to me because I have no idea what the hell's going on with all this stuff. We just like to play hockey. But speaking of hockey, the Dallas Stars DLLS merchandise, we have a couple new shirts out. Owen has told you about them every day for the last month. And here is the green one, which is my favorite, the Dallas hockey shirt. And then also we have the Dallas Stars shirt, whether that's an A or a Stars. But here's the important thing is we need to sell about, what, a dozen more of these things?
About a dozen
Maybe
of them.
about
We're
a dozen
very
more of these
close to
shirts.
hitting our goal. We're past the halfway point.
And that is for selfish reasons up here, because we all get one of those shirts
We
for
would
free,
like one of
apparently.
these shirts
We
for
would
free,
like one
for
of these,
sure.
and we can't afford them because we don't make enough money here. So we just had that meeting today, and I thought it was a good meeting. I'm not sure.
Our boss is going to love your read.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'd like to get more money over here, personally. I mean, you make enough the way it is.
Do you want to tell them about your stipulation?
Yeah, I know. And so because of this, we're having a little party at Hooters, and if we get these shirts, we're going to have this party. And if you wear one of those shirts coming over to Hooters on the December 7th,
Very
see, I'm
good.
getting closer. I got the
Very
month right.
good.
You get some beer from Luds. There you go. Free beer.
Thank you, Luds. Sean?
Let's talk about being a member of DLL's Die Hard. You can get a fun card like this that you can see. You get a member card. It's fun. You get a physical media, which doesn't exist much in today's day and world. So you get a physical card. Makes you feel like you're part of the club. And you are part of the club, because not only do you get access to our members only Discord, where there's great conversations that happen every day there, you also get access to the wonderful writing from people on the Cowboys, on the Rangers, the Mavs, even the Stars, those little Stars. You get some writing from there from both myself and Sam. It's a really cool thing to have seen grow. And for me, the content part that we produce is fun. But for me, and I've said this multiple times, one of the best parts of DLS to me has been to see we're now a little bit over a year and 3 months into this, and to see the community that's built around it. So if you're not a member, if you want to become a diehard, you become even more entrenched in the community. You have access to that Discord. There's some great people in there. Become a diehard. It's a great investment for yourself. So.
All right. Please welcome in from the DLLS Mavs podcast, the hosts, our content boss, Bobby Karalla. Bobby, it's great to have you. You dressed appropriately for our show today.
I'm already tipping my hand to whose side I'm on here.
I think so. Well, we're both wearing green, and I don't think that's by accident. But Sean, right before the break, was saying something very interesting that we want to get into. So let's talk about, we already in our previous segment talked about the lawsuit specifics, the arena renovation issues, the legal, I don't want to call it a loophole, the legal technicality that has led to this lawsuit, then the Stars countersuit, and the discussion of where this could all go, including both teams not playing in Dallas, which would probably be an absolute detriment. And that's where it leads us to this conversation. The city of Dallas chose to side with the Dallas Mavericks in this lawsuit against the Dallas Stars in this particular instance. And there's some claims within their suit which also say that the Stars have not been negotiating in good faith over arena renovations for the future lease potentially, and that it's been hard for them to actually be able to make contact and continue bringing them back to the table, that there's been a pretty seismic divide. And I started to think the other day, why did the city side with the Mavs and not the Stars? Now, again, this is going on in my head, and as Sean talked about earlier, this is a bit of my own speculation. I'm not privy to the insides of this conversation and everything. I have a hunch, and I'm a big hockey guy, but I have a hunch that because Cuban already wanted to move to he wanted to build an arena before he sold the team. The Adelson family and Dumont have clearly said, we're leaving. So they're planning on going. They tried to already look at a site in Irving, and it didn't seem like that fell through or whatever. But all that being said, I think the city of Dallas is very worried about losing the Mavericks from being a Dallas franchise.
Yes.
And I think that they're worried so much that they would possibly be willing to, again, this is just my thought, be willing to give up the Dallas Stars in Dallas, Frisco, McKinney, Plano, Arlington, wherever, in order to make sure they don't lose the Mavericks. And I think that's my hunch. Does that hold any water to you at all?
I think so. Now, I want to preface all this by saying I'm not a lawyer. I'm just kind of a dummy.
Neither am I.
Yeah,
I said that 4 times in our last segment. I'm not a lawyer.
Allegedly, I agree.
Yes.
But, I think there's a couple different factors in play here. One, I believe the Mavericks want to own their own arena, and that means
full control,
fully or at least mostly financing it. They want it to be basketball specific, maybe host concerts there and stuff, but they want it to be their own arena, only basketball. And I think they would put a lot of their money behind it, whereas I'm not sure that would be in play for the Stars. So if it comes down to if the city is choosing between a team that wants a lot of financing or maybe a little or none, I think it's pretty clear who they're going to side with. The Stars are more transparently exploring leaving the city, whereas the Mavs have been pot committed to staying in Dallas from the very start. So I think the city wants to side with them there. But where I think, as someone that I love the Mavs, I worked for the Mavs for a decade. I'm still, despite everything that's gone on, this whole thing, I still, am a Mavs fan. Where this kind of rings hollow for me, and I think a lot of other Mavs fans, is the Mavs painting this lawsuit and framing it in such a way where they're doing this in order to make improvements to the arena. They want to improve the fan experience for the last 4 years.
Before building a brand new basketball-specific arena.
Despite for the last 3 or 4 years, very transparently saying, Rick Welts, who just took over as CEO last year, he has now been elevated to such a role where he doesn't even worry about day-to-day stuff in that building anymore. He is solely focused on building a new arena. So the Mavs have very blatantly out in the open said, we're not going to play here anymore. This place is dusty. It's old. We want to get out of here. By the way, legalize gambling, please. We really would appreciate that a whole lot. And so I just don't think if that is your cause, our cause is to make the final few years at American Airlines Center fun for fans. I don't think fans are going to throw their support behind that in the court of public opinion, just because the Mavs are the louder parties here about getting out of that building.
Sean, what do you think changed in this relationship specifically between the Stars and the Mavericks, the ownership groups? We're not talking about the players, the fan base. There are a lot of crossover fans that are both Mavs fans and Stars fans and fans of all the other DFW teams, whether Cowboys, Rangers, etc. But there seems to have been a huge change from when the ownership transferred from Mark Cuban to the current Sands Corporation Group, Adelson, Dumont. And I think that what really stands out to me, I'm curious your thoughts on this, is that the principal focus is different. Mark Cuban cared about the Mavericks. Mark Cuban cared about the city of Dallas, and he cared about basketball. I don't know if he had any care about the Dallas Stars other than realizing that probably good for having your co-tenant, your business partner for the arena to at least be amicable. Yeah. I feel like that is not the same anymore with the new ownership group with the Mavs.
Well, the other thing, like, it's big, and I want to make sure I want to double. Once again, I'm not a lawyer, so I want to check on something. But
I think we've established that all three of us very much not lawyers.
Yeah, I don't know what like modus operandi or habeas corpus
Yeah.
or any of that stuff. I don't know what any of
Did
that
you watch
is.
Legally Blonde again?
I did.
Yeah.
The gambling thing is huge, right? Like, we have to talk. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. The gambling thing is huge, and the fact is, when it comes to, think about how the current Mavs ownership group made their money. It is in casinos. It is in gambling. And when it comes to legalizing it in Texas, that is something that will benefit all sports teams. But I don't think they're interested in buying this team if there's not a real path to legalize
Just to
gambling.
be NBA owners.
I do want to
Yes.
hop in. I don't want to cut you
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
Sean,
yeah.
but Rick Welts recently, actually, this video has not gotten a lot of traction. We talked about it a little bit on DLS Mavs one day a couple weeks ago, but Rick Welts went on the Bloomberg podcast. And on that podcast, this was, again, a few weeks ago, for the first time, publicly said the Mavs actually do not hold the expectation anymore that gambling will be legal in time for them to build the arena. And so they're proceeding under the impression and under the mindset that this will not be a casino resort.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it could still be a basketball-specific arena with entertainment and real estate ventures around
Yes,
there.
and they want 50 acres.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
a that's
And
a
the
pretty big
Stars said
plot.
they want
plot line.
75 acres.
And that's even more. Yeah,
And that's even
Victory
more.
Park is about 70 acres.
Right.
So the Stars want even more than that. Yeah.
And the other thing that people have to remember, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, but it's something that it's the other funny thing about Texas legislature is it meets every other year. That is one of the most bizarre things about Texas legislature. And from when I worked in Austin, I would occasionally get the freelance gig having to help out at the Texas with the legislature session. And the reason it meets every other year, ironically, is because probably 60, 70, 80 years ago, it probably wasn't safe to travel to the state's so big. That's literally the reason that they meet every other year, is how it's been explained to me by actual government reporters who understand all of this.
Awesome.
So it's one of those where, like, it's not like other states where you pass, if something doesn't pass in 2025, you're like, all right, well, we'll get to it next year. If something doesn't pass in Texas, all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, 2 years from now, we'll talk about it again, right? Like, that's one of the weirdest parts of this element when you talk about those timelines. The other thing that's just, once again, not a lawyer, can't help but wonder. So there was you talk about like teams working together and everything like that. I mean, a year ago, there was with the name of the coalition was I want to get the exact name of it. It's called the Sports Betting Alliance, was launched. Okay. It was from a bunch of professional sports teams in Texas working together to help organize and be part and help raise the profile to legalize sports betting in Texas. That group included the Houston Texans, the Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Astros, the Texas Rangers, and the Houston Dash. Ironically enough, there are two teams I did not mention there: the Dallas Stars and the Dallas Mavericks. From my understanding on things, is the Mavericks have been obviously they're very pro gambling, but they are also very much, they have their own ideas of things. And the Stars also have their own ideas of things a little bit. So to see those two entities now talking about arenas and obviously gambling and everything like that, having various opinions and ways they go about each other, knowing that history and now seeing it kind of all come to the forefront, it makes a ton of sense. So, again, I'm not a lawyer, and I need Owen here to kind of help me get back on track, because
that's right.
this is a loaded
So, Bobby,
topic.
the final question here, because we are running out of time here. We'll have a lot more as this develops. It feels very messy. It feels like the kind of divorce where the kids are going to probably have split custody and maybe not get along, even though you get double the presents and a couple extra holidays. Where do you think this goes over the next bit going forward? It feels like more than just a Dallas thing. It feels like a national thing now.
Yeah, I think messy is the right word for it. And Ryan, could you throw back up the comment that you just had up there a few seconds ago too about, so the Adelson family and Patrick Dumont, by extension, pretty understandably unpopular among the Mavs fan base right now. And, you know, this family is outsiders. They're not from Dallas. They're not from here. They're private equity. They run, you know, an international gambling enterprise. And they traded Luka. And really, they've done a lot of things here that have kind of ruffled the feathers of the fans, understandably. And so even if, you know, my snap reaction to this whole thing before I read the lawsuit or before I read the Dallas Morning News expose, all this stuff my snap reaction was, even if the Mavericks are right, I still don't know if I care that much. You know, like I don't necessarily think that the Mavericks ownership group has done enough, you know, to sow trust and to, you know, really build goodwill with the fans. And so if you are going to create a house divided, then I think they need to be prepared, you know, just because of optics alone, they need to be prepared for a lot of Dallas sports fans to side with the Stars, even if the Stars are in the wrong.
All right, we have to wrap this up with a super chat from our boss who just wants us to not be on time. A Darian Hatcher and Year After the Cup from GM Ben. Bobby, who has the 4th most points in Stars history? I'll give you a
Jamie
hint.
Benn.
He's 2nd. He played for the Minnesota North Stars.
Neil Broughton.
He's 3rd.
Craig Ludwig.
And he's not 3rd. 4th is Brian Bellows. Mike
Brian
McDonald,
Bellows.
Broughton, Bellows, and Tyler Sagan, who will play his 1,000th game tomorrow night in Tampa, is 5th
way to
in
go,
the
Sags.
franchise record. Big thank you to Bobby for coming on, for Craig Ludwig, Sean Shapiro, of course, our producer Ryan Vaughters. I'm Owen Newkirk. And Kat, thank GM Ben for us being overtime today, without overtime, on the DLS Star Show. Tomorrow night, pregame show. It's a little earlier because it's an early game in Tampa. Join us then.
We all silly like the mayor.